This lecture is about proportion and problem solving with rational expressions, and all of the problems in this video will talk about work. Again, when you're doing any kind of word problem, the steps that you should follow are to read the word problem carefully, declare your variables, and draw a picture or make a table. In these word problems, it's really helpful to make a table, and then set up your equations and solve the equations, and then just double check to make sure that your answer makes sense. So here's the table that you should fill in when you're doing problems involving work. So in the first column you should list the workers or the machines, and then the bottom is always going to be both or all of the workers or machines that are involved. And then the second column is the time that it takes each of them to complete the task that they're doing, and then the last column is the part of the task that they can complete in 1 hour. Our first example, a painter can paint a sign in 4 hours, and his assistant can paint the same sign in 6 hours. How long will it take them to paint the sign if they paint it together? So we always want to declare our variable. X is always, well, I shouldn't say always. There are some instances where our X is going to be something other than what the word problem is asking us to figure out, but most of the time it will be whatever they're asking us to find. And what they're asking us to find here is how many hours it will take both of them to paint the sign. And now we're going to fill in this table, and this table is really helpful when you're solving problems involving work. Down the first column, it'll be the worker or machine 1, worker or machine 2. If you have other workers, you list all the workers here. And then on the bottom, it will be all of the workers together, no matter how many you have. And then the next column is time to complete the task, and the last column is the part that they can complete in 1 hour. The first painter could paint the sign in 4 hours, so the first block that we have to fill in is 4 hours. The second painter can paint the same sign in 6 hours, and then X is how long it's going to take both of them to paint the sign if they work together. Now, for the part of the task that they can complete in 1 hour, if it takes the first painter 4 hours to complete the entire sign, then 1 hour is 1/4 of that time, and so he will be able to complete 1/4 of the task in 1 hour. Similarly, the second painter can paint the entire sign in 6 hours. That's 1/6 of 1 hour, and so he can complete 1/6 of the sign in 1 hour. And also for both of them, it's going to be 1/x. It's going to be the part that they will be able to paint in 1 hour. And so this is what we're going to use to make our equation out of, is the part that they complete in 1 hour. So we can't really make a relationship between how long it takes them to complete the entire sign, but we can make a relationship about the part that they can complete in 1 hour. So the amount that the first painter can paint in 1 hour plus the amount that the second painter can paint in 1 hour will be equal to the amount that they can both paint in 1 hour together. So our equation then will be 1/4 plus 1/6 equals 1/x. This gives us a rational equation to solve, and just like all of the other rational equations that we solved earlier, we want to find the LCD and multiply everything in that equation by the LCD so that we eliminate our fractions. So we need the smallest number that both 4 and 6 will divide evenly into, and the smallest number that both 4 and 6 will divide evenly into is 12. And then we also need an x because we have an x in this last denominator. So 12x is our LCD. We're going to multiply everything in this equation by 12x. So 12x times 1/4. And again, you can write the 12x over 1. You don't have to, but you can. Plus 12x times 1/6 equals 12x times 1/x. And 12x times 1/4, 4 goes into 12 3 times, and so we'll be left with 3x. Plus 6 goes into 12 2 times, that will leave us with 2x. And it equals 12x times 1 over x, and so the x's cancel, and we're left with 12. 3x plus 2x is 5x, equals 12, and then we divide by 5. This gives us x is equal to 12/5. If we put this in decimal form or as a mixed number, 5 goes into 12 twice, and there would be 2 left over. So this as a mixed number would be 12 and 2/5. This is a little bit more useful when you're talking about time. And this makes sense. The first painter can paint the entire sign by himself in 4 hours, so it would make sense that it would take the two of them working together less than that in order to finish the sign when they're working together. So 2 and 2/5, and the units on this would be hours. And then we should always write a sentence when we're done with a word problem to answer the question. So both painters working together can paint the sign. And you could either write the 12/5 or the 2 and 2/5 hours in there. And you could also answer it with a decimal. That would be fine as well. A conveyor belt can move 1,000 cans of soup to the loading area in 7 minutes. A smaller conveyor belt can move the same number of cans in 11 minutes. How long will it take 1,000 cans of soup if both conveyor belts are working together? So X is going to be number of minutes for both. And the time that it took the first conveyor belt to move the cans was 7 minutes. The time it takes for the second conveyor belt to move the cans is 11 minutes. And working together, they can move the cans in X minutes. The part that they can complete, and this should be minutes, part that they can complete in 1 minute is 1/7 for the first conveyor belt, and 1 over 11 for the second conveyor belt, and 1 over X for the third conveyor belt. Or, sorry, for both of them together. So again, we use this last column to write our equation. 1/7 plus 1 over 11 equals 1 over X. We want to find our LCD. And 7 and 11 are both primes. We need to multiply those together, so that's 77. And then we also need the X to get rid of this fraction. We're multiplying everything by 77x. And again, you can write these 77x's over 1 if that helps you. 7 goes into 77 11 times. That leaves us with 11x. 11 goes into 77 7 times. That leaves us with 7x. And it equals, here the x's cancel, and we get 77. 11x and 7x is 18x. So we have 18x equals 77, and then divide by 18. And sometimes it's nice to just have the decimal representation of that. And so 4.28 if we round to 2 decimal places. It's easier for me to do my comparison if I have it written in decimal form than it is to look at an improper fraction. So this would be minutes. So it will take 4.28 minutes for both conveyor belts. Working together to move 1,000 cans. And so there's our sentence answering our question. And that ends our lecture on problems about work. Let me know if you have any questions.